As Guardians of the Galaxy, in the morning, guys, we got ourselves the first teaser trailer for Thor: Love and Thunder. And I said, white boys, wake up! We gotta do this!
Assemble!
It's only 90 seconds, but you both have to be here with me.
Let's do that.
Guys, hit that subscribe button because clearly it's worth it. Also, leave a like if you can. That means the world. I'm sure there's a song in here that's going to get us demonetized. So all we ask that you subscribe, get us closer to that million mark. Follow Koijandro over on TikTok. Covers a whole bunch of awesome possum stuff over there. He'll be breaking this video down as well. Specifically the Real Rejects react. No, but he'll be breaking down the Thor trailer. My comic book expert, you better be ready. Because we want to read what you recommend. Yeah, let's do this.
These hands were once used for battle. Now they're but humble tools for peace.
Wow.
I need to figure out, Simba, exactly who I am.
Bearing Mjolnir, man.
God of Thunder, man.
I will choose my own path. Live in the moment.
Yes.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
My superheroing days are over.
What? Come on, man.
The goats.
The goats are goats.
Oh, hey. Oh, that new outfit's great. Yes.
Love the colors.
It is vibrant.
Wow. You ever feel lost? Just look
King
into
of
the eyes of the
Asgard.
people that you love. Not me. What? Just listening.
Where's Jane? Oh!
There she is.
There
she is.
Great. That costume looks great. The mighty
Wow.
Thor indeed.
That was a lot in 90 seconds.
Yeah, man.
I love that they're leaning into the color palette so much. Like, 'cause the 80s Thor costume is kind of a running commentary on Marvel Comics. Like, there's that phase that we don't generally talk about. They're, like, making it cool, which is what Taika does.
And that's what Taika does best, man. Yeah, and speaking of 80s, I actually really love the choice to use the song Sweet Child of Mine. Sweet Child of Mine, while like a good, like really cool 80s love rock song, towards the latter part of that song, they have that melody of like, where do we go now? Where do we go? So what will be the future of our relationship? There's some like questioning happening there. I feel like that kind of works on both levels with this particular trailer. His relationship with being Thor, his relationship with being a hero, his relationship with being himself, like where do we go now? Obviously in this trailer you hear him saying, what was my path as a hero? What do I continue to do? And also when you do have Jane in here as Mighty Thor, where in the comics, correct me if I'm wrong,
I'm listening.
in the comic, I mean, I did read it, but in the comics, Jane, she's diagnosed with cancer. Through a variety of circumstances, she's able to suddenly wield the power of Thor, use mjolnir.
Mjolnir, that's
Mjolnir,
correct.
Mjolnir. That's the correct way.
Mjolnir.
It's the way
Mjolnir.
Americans are supposed to say it.
Yep.
Use Mjolnir, but every time she actually activates herself, decreases the progress of the chemotherapy within the cancer, right?
Right, so she's
She
fighting.
gets weaker every time she uses it. I feel like this song used in here works on so many levels, even though we didn't get to that part in the song, but I know that's where the song goes. That song choice not only encapsulates the 80s feel to it, but also thematically what Thor as a character is going through here of what should he do for his future, especially in regards to himself and especially in regards to Jane as well.
It's a song that harkens to some kind of, coming of age, which it seems like Thor is in a new phase of doing. What do I do now that I've sort of hung up my warrior lifestyle and I'm trying to live something that's more sort of bless you, mighty Koi. I just love the way it complemented the colors and the scope. Like these movies have tons of scope, especially the Thor movies being the sort of epic interpolations that they are, but this one definitely looks like it's bringing in sort of a different flavor to that visual aesthetic. Like it doesn't look like as much of a big epic battle movie, though those things will come, and I'm excited to see what the contrast is in the storyline here, because they're not leading with a ton of action, a ton of fighting. We don't even get a glimpse of Gorr the God Butcher in a very distinct way that I could notice. So I like that this is mostly honing in on where's Thor now and where do we go from here.
I love that it is not only into the 80s aesthetic with Thor, and that is his way of going on a walkabout. I feel like what he's embracing as Thor is his more fun, like his truthful self. It's literally like an Australian walkabout story, but we're also expanding the world in doing that. We got a quick shot of Zeus played by Russell Crowe. We also got our entire Guardians of the Galaxy. So the scope of this is really big, but I think the detail.
Don't forget the goats, the tooths.
The goats, Tooth Gnasher and Tooth Grinder.
That's right.
Tooth Gnasher, Tooth Grinder. But I do also think the Mjolnir reassembled was interesting because we saw him bury Stormbreaker, which is the last axe and hammer we saw him wield, but we saw Hela destroy Mjolnir, and then it looks like it got reassembled like a clay pot.
Yeah.
So she's wielding the reassembled Mjolnir. So I'm wondering of like, maybe she's more worthy. Maybe she, through, becoming Thor, it reassembled cosmically. And what does that mean for Stormbreaker? What does that mean for that journey between them? What does that mean for their relationship? Because it's only a 1.5-minute trailer and we see him, dancing around this pirate woman. So there's clearly something with someone else. And then Thor comes back in.
This is Disney's replacement for Pirates of the Caribbean.
This is it right there.
Two birds, one stone.
That's how we do it.
We also saw our new king of Asgard, Valkyrie. And
dealing with local politics.
Looks like she is hating dealing with local politics so much. Just a little glimpse you get of her. She looks bored out of her mind.
The Parks and Rec section of the show.
Strong to being a warrior, so I imagine doing like political shit is not really what she actually wants to do, but she wants to tend to the people, So I'm interested to see what the bureaucracy is going on in New Asgard is and what all the effects post Endgame of everything that's happening there, like to kind of unpack.
I also am really excited for the inevitable 80s action montage of him losing the weight that we got sampled here. The chain scene that I imagine is going to be a full sequence of him dropping from Fat Thor to Mighty Thor, and then into her being Mighty Thor, but also his hat saying Strongest Avenger, because that's the argument with Hulk.
Looked like it went to Sakaar at one point too.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering, because the Strongest Avenger hat felt very pointed in many directions.
Why would they go back to Sakaar though?
Maybe to pick up Jeff Goldblum. I don't know.
Yeah, we need a cameo.
But Jeff Goldblum is currently crashing with Daryl.
Is he?
Right.
Yeah, maybe they went to look for him and they're like, damn, he's gone. Well, we should just clean this up while he's away so that, when he gets back, he won't be pissed.
Yeah.
That's it.
It would be great to have a Daryl cameo, though.
I think Daryl should finally make it into the movies. Daryl has earned it. I think Daryl has fought long and hard, and it's time for his best friend
Daryl, man. Team Daryl.
Thor looks great. What a beast of a human being. How does he always find a way to get larger?
It is insane.
The center.
And I like what you were saying about the 80s vibe and the sort of commentary that the comics bring in on the aesthetics and stuff every different generation and iteration, because I feel like we're at a fortunate time for that with the movies because we have such a prevalence of 80s nostalgia within our pop culture. So I feel like this movie has the opportunity to both poke fun at certain aspects of, the comic runs of the 80s and how those could be perhaps silly by today's standards, but also to legitimize some of those things, to take something that might have been silly and make it actually kind of legitimate or cool.
I think this has the chance to make some of the worst ever Thor stories the coolest ever Thor stories, because that wrestling outfit is among the worst costumes of all time in comic books. It's on many lists of how did this happen, and if anyone's gonna make it cool, it is the handsomest and the Taikiest.
And I feel like the Guardians will probably only just be in the first act of this movie.
I think first act, but I think they're gonna be a big part of it for a while. While they're in it,
I think it's integral. Yeah. And especially his relationship with Star-Lord himself. It seems like that's the main thing they'll be honing in on. What was cool about this, as much as we're getting in here, it still feels like it's very Thor-centric. What I found kind of interesting is that there's a melancholic vibe to it. The last Thor movie was just so funny. It was so fun, so entertaining. There's a lot more to it than that, but that was the main takeaway. Here, you get a little bit more of the shades of the Jojo Rabbit Taika Waititi in terms of its more dramedy effect. You can just feel that underneath the surface, which I thought was really cool. And I feel like there's gonna be more character driven, a little bit more deep and nuanced than Thor Ragnarok even was.
Maybe this will be our Thor means death.
That's more my preference, honestly. I like when he's got a darkness to his comedy, and not in the David Fincher sense, but in the morose coping quality, because the world can be dark. So if you look at the trajectory of the Avengers films, you've got Captain America going from selfless to selfish, through literally diving on a bomb to like, you know, sacrificing everything to go be with his Peggy. Then you've got Tony Stark going from a man who's warmongering to eventually landing as the guy that does jive on the bomb and saves us all. So their arc is very specific, and the X of their arc is Civil War, the only movie that we didn't have Thor in, because Thor's entire arc is being certain of self and then losing sense of self. And we've not landed on where that loss of sense of self is, so we've had the trajectory for the other two of the big three. We've had those landings. Thor's the only one that remains, and we've had him have more and more of a crisis of self as the movies get bigger. So I'd love a more sorrowful conclusion to understand what Thor wants to be, and what better way to do that than have the reflection of self in Jane Foster and perhaps his successor.
You sound so stupid.
I know.
Idiot.
I just
Stuff you
it's like I just it's like, did I even watch the movies?
You're
Do I even
reaching.
read the comic books?
Definitely not in
It's
here
just
at
not
all.
that. No.
Teach you a few things about Marvel
Truth
Comics.
Nasher.
Listen, don't subscribe to Koi's channel.
Don't do
or his
it.
TikTok. It's
Don't
a
you
waste
do
of your goddamn time. You guys can subscribe to us though. Leave a like and
It's my last
leave your
time
thoughts
here.
down
We're
on
done with me.
Thor, Love and Thunder down below. Catch you guys soon.